Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sports Lowdown. Brad Swanson and Knapp bringing you the Sports Lowdown like we do every Wednesday at 6 p.m. right here on Channel 98.9 FM. Lee, there isn't a whole lot to report in the sports world right now.
No, there's not.
Whether it's high school or college or national or professional, it's just everything's on hold right now, and we're hoping that things change here quickly. And before we went on air, we were talking, and really the high school schedule hasn't really been affected yet, but this is week 2. They figured it would be shut down for a couple weeks, and now we just found out they're going to be at least 2 more weeks.
Right.
So that pushes it back, and that will definitely affect the schedule for high school sports. Probably the way the weather is around here, baseball would have had a tough time. Softball with the turf field in Corry would have been okay. Could have got a few games in.
Track would have been good.
Track would have been fine. They could have done that. But and trap probably could have got going too.
Trap would have been shooting at raindrops.
Yes, but here we are. We're playing the waiting game, but this is a very touchy time for everybody. And as I reported last week, it's one of those things where we just have to make the most of our time and play the waiting game the way we're supposed to. If there's people out there laid off like I am right now, I'm sure that there's stuff around your house that will keep you busy. I've been busy the last 2 days and haven't left the house much.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
There's stuff to do, and all we can hope for is that in the next couple of weeks they get everything to a standstill, and we can put things back in order, get kids back into classrooms and back out on the athletic fields again.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing right now. Everybody stay healthy, of course, but get the kids back into the classrooms, because it takes them out of their element of staying in a routine. Mm-hmm. And at least get them back in the classroom. Like we were talking before the show, we're not even sure that fall sport or spring sports will take effect. We're hoping, like we were talking, maybe a half a season, but like we were talking before the show, Brad, that these kids, they're going to be off for a month without practicing, and basically come back and say, okay, we're going to have to play a game right away, quick, like we were talking. And that's a very good, very good possibility. I didn't really think about it until you brought it up to me, and but then again, that's a good way for kids to get hurt.
Oh yeah. You think of the throwers, whether they're playing baseball or if they're in track, girls and boys, both. Baseball, softball, track, both boys and girls. Throwing things, whether it be a baseball or a javelin or a shot put or a discus, whatever. You got to get those muscles toned up and ready to roll, and they have to be warm. You got to get your muscles warm. You can't throw things being cold. I know that every year I was always pig-headed, and I would hurt my arm throwing baseball, and not severely, but I just didn't warm up properly. And right now, how are you supposed to warm up properly if they were to go back in 2 weeks? Right.
It'd be the same way with running. You got to stretch them legs out, or you're going to pull muscles.
Right, and that's the one thing that they are fortunate with, is they all of our athletes can get out and run on their own.
Sure.
And they can do some exercising and stuff on their own, maybe even lift weights. If they've got stuff at home, because I don't think any gyms are open right now.
No, I don't believe they are either. I think
if they are, they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
So, there are things that you can do to keep yourself physically active.
But will they?
Right.
That is the question.
Yeah.
Will they do it? I think, unfortunately, this is my opinion again, kids today are lazy in a lot of aspects. They they want to do a sport or they want to do something, but they don't want to work real hard for it. I think. And if the kids are kind of, I'm going to say depressed, but not depressed, because they're not in school, they're out of their routine, I don't know if they'll get out and just run, because they're probably figuring to themselves, we're not going to do anything this year anyway.
Yeah.
And then they might turn around and say, okay, we're going to run now. Now they're going to have to go like crazy and start running and get warmed up and loosened up and stuff. I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope that if they're really serious about it, that they do get out and keep warmed up and stretched out.
Yeah. Another thing, too, is we have rosters that we could read to the listeners, but we don't want to do that because we don't know if that's going to be accurate if and when they do get the opportunity to come back and participate. Because, as we were saying, there's kids I know that work in the off season. Maybe some kids don't participate in a winter sport, so they're working somewhere, and maybe those businesses are allowed to continue to work. And right now they're calling these kids up saying, hey, if you're not in sports right now, we knew that you were going to be off because of spring sports, but spring sports are not being contested right now, so do you want to work? So some of these kids are going to say, yeah, let's go make some money.
Yeah.
If they're seniors, some of them may say, I'm just going to keep making money. I can, like say a boy is doing that. I could play Legion baseball this summer, so I'll still get my baseball time in. And, and then I'm going to go do whatever. I'm going to the military, going to college, or I'm going into the workforce.
Right.
So, so that's why we're not going to give those rosters out right now. We're not sure exactly if they're going to be accurate once, like I said, if and when we do have spring sports. Things
can change.
Yeah.
I mean, we're hoping that the kids, if they do have the sports, that the kids still come out.
Right.
That's what we're hoping for. But then again, you can't blame them. Like you were saying, if they're out working, making money, and they're only going to play a half a season, some kids may just say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep working.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's a tough situation right now.
It
and,
is.
You can't fault anybody if,
no, either way,
if they change their mind about things.
You're right.
So, hopefully, the coaches are staying in contact, probably emailing, and texting. Hopefully, coaches and the kids are sticking together as far as communicating, and hopefully the kids are doing some stuff to work out. Just hoping that we are able to get some games in this year.
Yeah, and I'm sure these kids would like to get some games in. I mean, a lot of kids, they don't do a fall or spring sport, and all of a sudden, I'm going to say they play baseball. Okay, it's baseball season, and they want to get out and play, especially if they're seniors. They may have colleges looking at them, or any sport may have colleges looking at them. And the colleges are going to realize, okay, these guys are only playing a half a season this year. They got to give them the benefit of the doubt when they're scouting them. But these kids definitely want to put on a good show, and it's going to be kind of hard to put on a good show on a half of the season.
Right.
So I really feel sorry for the seniors. My heart's out to you. I wish things were different, but this is just one of those things that nobody has any power over.
Exactly. And you feel for those college seniors that were unable to participate in their final year of participation at the college level. I know that they completely have canceled out swimming and wrestling for college.
Yep. Those
national championships are done. They're not going to be contested.
Yep.
And it's really tough because roughly who the top five are in swimming, diving, and in wrestling. You could pretty much figure. But then there's always the upsets in both those sports.
Yes, there is.
So you got kids that are out there going, you know what? I'm ranked number 8, and I'm gonna I'm gonna squeeze in there. I'm
Yep.
gonna fight my way in, and I'm outworking everybody right now. Well, it's
Now they
just
don't have a
very
chance.
unfortunate
Yep.
that stuff happens, and like I said, my heart goes out to them as well too.
Yes.
The college kids, and at every level, not just the Division I level, but all of college sports and high school sports. We're just sad to see those seniors have to suffer through that. It's a tough time, but you know what? Life goes on, and
Yeah.
we got to make the most of it. Like I said last week, my suggestion and advice was, let's take this one day at a time. We'll get through today. We'll wake up tomorrow, and we'll
Get through it.
We'll get after it again, and we'll keep thinking and in a positive mode. Keep yourself in positive. Don't let the negative things start eating away at you. And
It's hard to do,
if people
but it
don't,
can be done.
Right. If people don't panic and we all work together, I think that will either one of two things. It'll either make this thing end quicker, or it will make the time go by better.
Go faster.
Either way,
Yeah.
it's going to benefit us all. So
Right.
that's the whole key. And hate to turn this into something everybody's already listening to and hearing on TV all the time, but it does fall right into place with the sports. Sports world is just turned upside down right now.
Yeah. On a different note, Brad, I have not heard for sure that AA Swimming States has been canceled. It was postponed, but I have not heard if it's been canceled for sure. My guess is it's going to be, but I was looking on the internet the other day, and I did see that a lot of the Corry swimmers did make all-county. So hats off to them. We had a couple in individuals and a couple relays.
Good.
Where the kids made all county, either first team or second team.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty good, considering they don't get to swim at states.
Right. Yep. And hats off to those kids. And I saw that most of those kids are underclassmen too.
Yeah, there's a couple seniors, but there's a couple ninth graders that made all county, which was very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And there was Ben Good. I think he was the only senior that made all county, and he made it like in 4 events.
Nice.
So it was pretty impressive. I was glad to see that these kids worked hard, and that they went back to the district meet to see where how they placed and everything, and came up with the first and second team all county.
Nice.
So that was good.
Yeah. So that I haven't seen. I don't think they did the wrestling one yet. The Erie Times.
Muncie was second team in his weight class.
Okay.
I did see that. So that was good.
Yeah. Well, the other kids had to have done pretty well too. I would think. There's quite a few Corry wrestlers that were.
Yeah, I didn't go down through the whole list of the wrestlers. He happened to come up.
Yeah, and the swimming you were talking about, that was just in the Erie paper over the weekend too.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that the wrestling will probably be in this week, and they're probably trying to save things so that they can create a newspaper every week, because I know it's getting difficult.
Yes, it would be. I mean, there's nothing for them to report on.
Right. You look at the Corry paper, and they're having a tough time, and they're looking right now for people to send in photos from
Old pictures.
yesteryear,
Yeah.
let's call it. And we saw a picture of an old softball team.
Karate.
Yeah, the
I
old
did
karate softball team that
did
Mary
see that.
Norton submitted when her late husband Bill was playing. And I remember watching Bill Norton play ball, and Lanny Fitch and a bunch of those guys that were in that photo. Remember seeing them play when I was a kid, watching my brother play. And,
Yeah, I remember this, watching a lot of it.
when they used to have the Ray Root tournament down at Corry High School. And there would be, I believe, 32 teams played in that tournament, Lee.
Wow.
So, and as
Used
the
to be a big thing.
fields spread out a little bit, there was 3 fields or 4 fields at the high school. There was, later on, there was, of course, the field at Columbus School, which is now the baseball field. That was softball field. There was Scioto Field.
Yep.
There was Swart Field.
Yep.
So you had a lot of fields to be able to play on. And
That's right.
You know, it was a fun time playing back in the day. I followed it ever since I was about 10 years old. And then when I graduated high school, I started playing, and I played for 17 years in the South Erie County League. So I was around it for a long time, and I just wish that they would have kept it going, and that some of these younger ball players could have
got into
it too, because it was a good time, and
it was a
met
big
a lot
thing.
of good people.
It was a big thing.
At one point in time, there was 2 divisions in the South Erie County League, and there was, I believe, 32 teams involved there.
Wow.
So, yeah, there was a ton of teams, and you figure, you know, that's 10-man softball. So
yeah,
there's 320 guys that playing right there, and everybody had, you know, 4, 5, 6 extra guys on the team too.
Yep.
So
it was big.
And then you had a 20-man roster, so everybody could have had 20 men on their team, or 640 people it would have been. So that's a lot of people, and that's showing you how big of a sport it was. And
it was. So was the women's. The women's softball used to be really big like that.
And they used to have a tournament also that they used to play around Corry area here, and it was kind of funny because our men's softball team umpired.
Mm-hmm.
So the Swart Builders softball team would go out and umpire the games, and I tell you what, you don't want to tick off women when they're playing softball. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ask Dick Harrington that question sometime. He was an umpire down in Columbus. He'll tell you a little story maybe. Or maybe not.
He may not want to.
But yeah, anyways, it was a good time, and you know, I wish that there was more stuff like that going on after high school for the people that go into the workforce and live around the area. You know, I wish there are different softball leagues, but you got to go travel to Warren, Harbor
Erie.
Creek,
Erie.
I don't know if Titusville still has anything going. They used to, but Meadville, you know, so you got to travel a ways to go play now.
The unfortunate thing today, though, I believe that a lot of the graduating class, they actually leave the city. You know, they got to go where the schools are or where the work's at. And unfortunately, around this area, work is hard to find.
Right.
You know, so you can't blame them there. I mean, they got to go where they can make some money. But
exactly. Yep. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, Lee, and when we come back, we'll wrap things up here for this week's edition of the Sports Lowdown. But let's hear from these sponsors. Welcome back to the Sports Lowdown. Lee Knapp and Brad Swanson bringing you the Sports Lowdown like we do every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. right here on Channel 98.9 FM. Lee, we talked about the lack of sports and, you know, how bad we feel for the seniors at both the high school and college levels not being able to participate. We're still not ruling out the fact that they could actually get some games in, and what we're hoping for is at least being able to play the second half of their schedule this year.
If they can play the second half of the schedule, Brad, because I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was just trying to think who it was, and I can't remember. Not that it matters. They were saying that there's a real good possibility that Little League may not have a season this year. So that I think that would be a lot better chance if high school sports at least plays a half a season. You know, that they could have the Little League. They were talking, this guy, he said that he heard from somebody or somewhere that they may not do anything until fall sports.
Yeah, that's a little bit scary there because, you know, you got a lot of stuff in between because you have, like you said, Little League, you have, you know, softball and baseball for Little League.
Right.
And then also you have the Junior Legion and the American Legion.
Yep.
And they still have a junior baseball team, a couple junior baseball teams that they end up playing, you know, teams around the area, and they play each other, I think, twice during the regular season. But yeah, that was a very unfortunate.
Yeah.
And the girls softball as well. but it'd be very unfortunate if they weren't able to do that.
That was a rumor that he heard. I have not heard that I just heard it through rumor. I hope it's not true, because that's going to upset a lot of kids, and that gives kids something to do all summer long to keep them active.
Right, and at that age, missing a year is kind of crucial too, because some of these kids are just coming into their peak and just learning how to really play the game well.
To play it the right way.
Right. And other kids need that extra year to get to that point.
Yep.
And if they miss a year, then they're
a year behind.
Pushes them back, yeah. So, yeah, it's a flip of a coin right now as to see what's happening. And every day I'm sure that people are following the newspaper and the TV, CNN, and all that kind of stuff. I try not to watch it all that much because it's so doggone depressing. But, I do like to keep up to date with what's going on. And we see that, you're seeing more cases pop up in the state of Pennsylvania and in Erie County now. We're getting an extra one every day, it seems. But, just keep in mind that the little things that they tell you to do, like wash your hands frequently, distance yourself 6 feet from people.
Right.
When you go to the grocery store, go in and get what you need and get back out. Things like that.
Yeah, don't
don't go out if you don't really have to.
Yep.
I mean, it's just I guess we're creatures of habit. People are creatures of habit. You get in the mode where you do this or do that. Well,
you hate to change.
We're learning what change is all about right now, because those certain things that you can't do, because those businesses are not open right now, have changed our lifestyles quite a bit.
Sure.
But it's a wake-up call, too, in a way, Lee. I mean, it's letting us know that we have to find other means of keeping ourselves
busy,
occupied, keeping our minds occupied and not getting depressed and down. Very important if you have elderly folks in your family to keep them upbeat and keep checking on them and keep a positive mode going with them, because it's very easy for older people to get depressed because a lot of them are spending a lot of time by themselves.
Right. And they're depressed already.
Right.
And we got to get them upbeat.
I know that I was excited for the time change because I like daylight. I love daylight. And that's a big boost to the elderly as well.
Yeah.
It really helps them out, having more daylight, whether the sun's shining or not, just the daylight. And, better days are coming. We're on the big curve right now, heading down the backstretch of the cooler temperatures and stuff like that. We only have a couple more weeks and it's going to start getting nice out.
I believe so.
And we'll be able to get out there. And I tell you, I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are more anxious to jump on the tractor and start mowing my lawn. And people are probably thinking, you're nuts. But I would much rather mow my lawn than shovel
snow.
So, I'm looking forward to that. And there's, the ground's quite wet right now, so there isn't a whole lot that you can be doing outside. Right. So, but those are things that I try to do is plan ahead and have something to look forward to, and that's one of them. Getting outside and being outdoors, breathing fresh air, and getting things accomplished around the house.
You always feel better,
right? But there's alternatives for everybody. I mean, not everybody's into doing the yard work or things like that. Get out and take a walk.
Yeah.
They're not saying you can't do that. Although I'd like to throw this out there. I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but Governor Wolf did impose a curfew that all Pennsylvania people are supposed to be in their houses if they're not working by 9 o'clock at night. So I don't know how strict they're going to be on enforcing that, but just a reminder, if people haven't heard that, that's definitely what's happening. So
yeah,
I'm sure that if at first they're going to throw warnings out there, but that's the whole key too. Is just listen what they're telling you to do, follow the rules, and
It'll get over with.
We'll all get through it.
Yeah, it'll be over with sometime.
But we hope to be able to bring you some positive news here as the weeks progress here on the Sports Lowdown. We're going to keep doing the show as long as we can, and we're hoping to get some good information. So we're going to have to kind of pull one of the cards similar to what the Corry Journal has done. And if you have anything that you'd like to share on this show with us about sports, even from yesteryear,
let them know.
Yeah, let us know. You can go online to www.channel989.org. That's www.channel989.org. So go on there and post some stuff, and we'll check it out, and we'll put it on the air next week.
Yeah, give us something to talk about, because like Brad and I were talking earlier, it's hard to do a show on sports when there is no sports, and we like to keep it going if we can, and any information like that would definitely give us an upper hand.
That's right. And we don't want to have to go out in the backyard and throw the horseshoes and do commentary while we're doing that. So somebody better come up with something for us. All right. Well, Lee, here we go. Another show's gone this week as we approach the end of March. So next week will be the last show in March, and we'll be into April.
Wow.
Hard to believe, isn't it? The third month of the year already passing.
Yeah.
And
going fast.
Yeah, hopefully good news is right around the corner for everyone, and we can get back to some kind of normalcy here.
Right.
But until then, make sure you keep your radio dial tuned to channel 98.9, and we will try to keep you up to date with everything going on. Once again, if you have any information you'd like to share with us sports-wise, like to hear it here on the Sports Lowdown, you can go to channel989.org and let us know. Until next week, for Lee Knapp, this is Brad Swanson saying have a safe and enjoyable week, and go Beavers.